So Abram rose and clave the wood and went and took the fire with him and a knife. And as they sojourned, both of them together, Isaac, the firstborn, spake and said, My father, behold the preparations, fire and iron, but where the lamb for this burnt offering? Then Abram bound the youth with belts and straps, and builded parapets and trenches there, and stretched forth the knife to slay his son. When lo, an angel called him out of heaven, saying, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do anything to him. Behold, a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. Offer the ram of pride instead of him. But the old man would not so, but slew his son and half the seed of Europe, one by one.
Halt, imperial galleys, restrain your mighty rudders. Walk with silent tread. I am officiating a proud requiem in the chill of the night upon these sacred waters. Halt, imperial galleys, before the tomb, my brothers. Shroud your trumpets in black. Let your livered sentries chant the holy dirge, here where waves embrace. For the centuries will pass like white foam that crosses the sea and dies without trace. And a new and great age will come and make a splendid home upon a pile of graves. But this graveyard, where lays buried the terrible, secret epic, will cradle a fairy tale for the ages, where the spirit will seek out its coryphaces. Buried are here garlands of days past, and the fleeting joy of an entire nation. So this cemetery lies in the shadow of the waves, between the bosom of the earth and the celestial vault. Halt, imperial galleys, extinguish your torches, and draw your oars to rest. When I complete my requiem, steal away into the dark of the night, piously and inaudibly. For I wish for the eternal silence to rule, for the dead hear the noise of the battle, and hear their own blood boiling, their children cheering in joy. For there, far away, the battlefield burns with the same blood that lies buried here. Here above the Father, peace reigns. There, above the Son, flies a victor's banner. So I want peace to officiate my requiem, without words, without tears and quiet sighs, myrrhed scent of incense and the breath of dust, the pounding echo of distant battle drums. Halt, imperial galleys, knowing respect, glide with silent tread. I officiate a requiem unlike any other upon these sacred woods.
I realized the extent of my affection for my people and for my land. I cannot make out which I loved best, but felt my love was personal and incurable and had nothing to do with ideas, thoughts, or politics, that in fact it was physical and elemental. Very often I was the only woman crossing the square. I had on my longest and oldest karshaf, and often I would stand in the middle of the square and think with infinite sadness of an alien army marching toward it. I had a foolish desire to stop and kiss the very stones of the place. So passionately did I love it. No force could have dragged me away from it. I belonged to the place, and whatever its fate, I meant to share it.
Daydream about a happy family and congenial kids. Will I live to see the day when I have some? Oh my God, will you ever allow such things to be my lot in life? And what about the soldiers, my beloved children? In what shape are they? Take the sentry at my door. Due to the cold, his shoulders are hunched, and his head is buried between them. His legs are huddled, and his lips are blue. His nose is running, yet his grip on his rifle is firm. We are of the 16th Division, have now been here for 7 months. Who knows how much longer we shall have to be here? Where are our soldiers? While we originally had 200 soldiers in each of our companies, we are now down to 50 or less apiece. The rest have been martyred, are missing, or have been wounded. Others have had to be evacuated on medical grounds. This means all the veterans.
I am terrified. I keep this terror hidden, however, in the depths of my heart. On the other hand, I know full well that my actions, whether for good or ill, will not be inferior to the actions of my comrades. I shall fight. With my heart in my mouth, I shall lash out blindly and be opposed by men who lash out just as blindly. Once more, I shall become the infantry sergeant with his share of responsibility and his national traditions to uphold. We clasp our cigarettes now between trembling fingers. Yet in spite of this, one thing is certain. We shall come out on top. Tomorrow morning I shall be continuing this manuscript inside their stronghold, not ours. Of this I'm certain, and so are all the others. I can see it in their eyes. It's something we Greeks call philotimo, a force whose enormous strength has never been sufficiently appreciated. It alchemizes souls, spurring men to perform wonders. In my own case, this means that I still have not become sufficiently courageous vis-à-vis my true self, which stands next to me in the ranks. But I find this hardly surprising. Well, until tomorrow, then.
Un peu avant minuit, nous dîmes adieu à toute une époque. Des géants furieux se dressaient sur l'Europe. Les aigles quittaient leur air en attendant le soleil. Les peuples accouraient pour se connaître à fond. Les morts tremblaient de peur dans leur sombre demeure. Je m'en allais portant en moi toutes ces armées qui se battaient. Je les sentais monter en moi et s'étaler les contrées où elles serpentaient. Aux terres inimaginables où l'homme combat plus haut que l'aigle ne plane. L'homme y combat contre l'homme et descend tout à coup comme une étoile filante.
These were early days of trench warfare. The days of the jam tin bomb and the gas pipe trench mortar. It was before Lewis or Stokes guns, steel helmets, telescopic rifle sights, gas shells, pillboxes, tanks, trench raids, or any of the later improvements of trench warfare. After a meal of bread, bacon, rum, and bitter stewed tea, sickly sweet with sugar, we went up through the broken tree to the east of the village, up a long trench to battalion headquarters. The trench was cut through red clay. I had a torch with me, which I kept flashing on the ground. The hundreds of field mice and frogs were in the trench. They'd fallen in and they'd no way out. The light dazzled them and we couldn't help treading on them. So I put the torch back in my pocket. We had no picture of what the trenches would be like. We're not far off the state of mind in which one younger soldier joined us a week or two later. He called out very excitedly to old Burford, who was cooking up a bit of a stew in a Dixie apart from the others. "Hi, mate. Where's the battle? I want to do my bit." Trench was wet and slippery. The guide was giving hoarse directions all the while. "All right. Wire high, wire low. Deep place here, wire low." I'd never been told about the field telephone wires. They were fastened by staples to the side of the trench, and when it rained, the staples were always falling out and the wire falling down and tripping people up. If it sagged too much, one stretched it across the top of the trench to the other side to correct the sag, and then it would catch one's head. The holes were the sump pits used for draining the trenches. We were now under rifle fire. I always found rifle fire more trying than shell fire. The gunner was usually, I knew, not firing at people, but at map references, crossroads, likely artillery positions, houses that suggested billets for troops, and so on. Even when an observation officer in an airplane or captive balloon or on a church spire was directing the gunfire, it seemed unaimed somehow. But a rifle bullet, even when fired blindly, always had the effect of seeming aimed. And we could hear a shell coming and take some sort of cover. But the rifle bullet, well, that gave no warning. So, though we learned not to duck to a rifle bullet, because once it was heard, it must have missed. It gave us a worse feeling of danger. Rifle bullets in the open went hissing into the grass without much noise. But when we were in a trench, the bullets going over the hollow made a tremendous crack. Bullets often struck the barbed wire in front of the trenches, which turned them and sent them spinning in head over heels motion. Bing! Rockety, yockety, 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 into the woods behind. And our guide took us up to the front line. We passed a group of men huddled over a brazier. They were wearing waterproof capes, for it had now started to rain, and also comforters, because the weather was cold. They were little men, daubed with mud, and they were talking quietly together in Welsh. Although they could see we were officers, they didn't jump to their feet and salute. I thought that this was a convention of the trenches, and indeed, I knew that it was laid down somewhere in the military textbooks that the courtesy of this salute was to be dispensed within battle. But I was wrong. It was just slackness. And we overtook a fatigue party struggling up the trench, loaded with timber lengths and bundles of sandbags, cursing plaintively as they slipped into sump holes and entangled their burdens in the telephone wire. Fatigue parties were always encumbered by their rifles and their equipment, which it was a crime ever to have out of reach.
Of these houses, nothing but fragments of memory. Of all who would talk with me, not one remains. But in my heart, no one's cross is missing. My heart is the most tormented country of all.
Where are you going, young fellow, my lad, on this glittering morn of May? I'm going to join the colors, Dad. They're looking for men, they say. But you're only a boy, young fellow, my lad. You aren't obliged to go. I'm 17 and a quarter, Dad, and ever so strong, you know. So you're off to France, young fellow, my lad. You're looking so fit and so bright. I'm terribly sorry to leave you, Dad, but I feel I'm doing right. God bless you and keep you, young fellow, my lad. You're all of my life, you know. Don't worry. I'll soon be back, dear Dad, and I'm awfully proud to go. Why don't you write, young fellow, my lad? I watch for the post each day, and I miss you so, and I'm awfully sad, and it's months since you went away, and I've had the fire in the parlor lit, and I'm keeping it burning bright till my boy comes home, and here I sit into the quiet night. What's the matter, young fellow, my lad? No letter again today? Why did the postman look so sad and sigh as he turned away? I hear them tell that we've gained new ground, but a terrible price we've paid. God grant, my boy, that you're safe and sound, but oh, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. They've told me the truth. Young fellow, my lad, you'll never come back again. For you passed in the night, young fellow, my lad, and you proved in the cruel test of the screaming shell and the battle hell that my boy was one of the best. So you'll live, young fellow, my lad, in the gleam of the evening star, in the wood-note wild, in the laugh of the child, in all sweet things that are. And you'll never die, my wonderful boy, while life is noble and true. For all of our beauty, our hope, and our joy, we will owe to our lads like you.